Hi, yes. So I would like to call on the consciousness of Jesus and his higher self and any beings that may be with him for his highest good. Um, we are just looking for the truth and the information that can come forward at this time. So, is Jesus consciousness here with us?
Yes, the Conscious Collective is here for you, and we think it's very sweet that you are wanting to be able to add all of the layers and levels and conscious minds and perspectives of Jesus, and for you to be asking your very important questions for us today. While the conscious mind of Jesus is here, as you know, and as you were just discussing, the conscious mind of the man versus the higher self's wisdom and perspective is vastly different. And so we're very excited for this approach.
Wonderful. Thank you. So there's a book by Tina Louise Spalding, which is a channeling from you, and it's called Jesus, My Autobiography. There's a lot of great information and understanding that resonates, but I just wanted to make sure and ask if this is an accurate source.
Well, the source is the accurate source, and we want to make a pun here. There is some discrepancies with the facts. Is it storytelling, entertainment, or is it novel, or is it a true direct channeling? And if it is a true direct channeling, who is she channeling? You must always ask and wonder who your direct connection is. We are saying she wanted to be able to have the belief system of Christ living forever. And how do you create that physically? You produce children, and those children produce children, and potentially you're all one that way. And we're saying you're all one a different way, spiritually, symbolically, figuratively, literally, and everything else. It's more than just being uh, the brother of a man. And so we're wanting to say to you that there is a great purpose for all. And if you feel like you are potentially hanging out or knowing a direct descendant of Jesus, how special could that person be? And we're wanting everyone to have the belief system that you do know a friend or someone close to you or someone out there that is still walking this earth with Jesus's blood. It's very symbolic. It is very exciting for people to feel like he is still living on, because no one wants to have someone who is trying to help humanity cut down at their prime and popped up on a post.
Hmm. Okay, thank you for that. In this book, you do speak about your spiritual team and guidance throughout your life. Who was your spiritual team while here on the physical earth? Can you speak about this?
Well, yes, I did have a deeper prospect of connections, and I was trying to work hard and empowering myself to be able to see things from a bigger perspective and not get triggered into the lower emotions and not buy into the dramas of things. I was trying to be, shall we say, Christ-like, with no pun intended, because I wanted to be able to show with great compassion and integrity how to see and nurture and love every man and every woman. And I needed to have reminders and connections to my spiritual team. But it wasn't until I found myself and to truly go within could I then reach out to my spiritual team, which was I had guides and I had other beings that were supporting me and nurturing me and inspiring me on a daily. But it was not a source that was directly connecting in with me, because it's fractions of source that are able to impress upon and connect in the spiritual aspects and realms, because source encompass everything. It is part of source. So while it is everything that I'm connected to and was inspired by, um, it is the direct part of source, is fractured out into many beings. But who I was connected to was not all, it was part of source. So therefore I could not have connected into the full source. So I can't contribute my connections to source, because it was always, and just like yourselves, it's always part of source. When you return to source, then you have full connection to all. But you are fractures and fragments of source, and that is totally fine. There's nothing wrong with you. It is a very purposeful. And so when you do your experiences and lives, and you explore so much, you take back all that wisdom and experience when you return to source, and then you add to the collective of that experience. And so I did have strength with seeing things from a bigger picture and being able to connect to my spiritual team. I do not just scanning. While I did say it was my Father, heavenly, my Creator, I did sense that it was some other source, shall we say, that was greater than myself. But I truly did not. I could not see from that perspective. But I knew that I was loved. I knew that I was supported. I knew if I asked for help, I would receive it. And if I asked for help and I didn't receive it, it wasn't because I wasn't loved. It was because I still needed to do something for myself to be able to receive then what I was needing. And sometimes when we are in desperation, we ask for things that we should be doing for ourselves. As a man, I did not know who my spiritual team was. I did not see that they were individual, many different individual beings. I just sensed that there was something greater than myself, and that gave me great comfort and wisdom.
Beautiful. Interesting. Yes, I love it. Thank you. And that all makes sense. So it is well known that you are a healer and an enlightened being. You studied in many countries and mystery schools, including the community of Essenes. How were you able to learn and attain so much knowledge in a relatively short amount of time? And what were the most valuable teachings, would you say?
When you need to learn something, when it is a requirement, it's very disheartening. It feels like a chore. When you want to learn something, you have such thirst, such curiosity, you thrive for it, you're quenching your thirst forever to learn more, to experience more. And so I was driven to learn. I wanted to learn. While some of my studies when I was younger was a little bit dull, I knew I needed to do something else. And what my true core purpose was to profoundly love and share unconditional love to all, and have compassion and no judgment in my heart, and just see everyone as valuable as each other. And so I knew I needed to hear and learn about as many things as possible, so I could be more connected to everyone's interests, and to be able to show that I was amongst my own fellow man, and that I could have interests of all. I was very, very curious about structures and systems, but I really wanted to be able to hear from others how they were inspiring people, how they became leaders of their own spiritual path and journey. And I wanted to keep hearing how others were tapping into the same connections that I was, to be able to keep feeling that enlightenment. The more you go within, the more you feel the enlightenment of the connection to the parts of source that you're able to access. And so I was traveling around. It was, at first it felt like almost a coincidence that it was the same true sort of steps to get to be able to connect in with yourself, to be then able to connect to more higher perspectives and feelings. And so it was universal, how every healer and every other being really was. While there was different approaches and different languages and different cultures, there was still the same consistency, core values that were just repeated time and time and time again. And this is what was intriguing to me, because it seemed so simple, but yet so hard and challenging for the average person to be able to apply and approach in their daily lives. And so I wanted to keep hearing from more people how their approach and what they were doing to help. Again, I knew that there was a higher being that was just beyond myself. And when I did tap in, I knew that they were supporting me and guiding me, and I had utter faith that they would help the people that I needed to help physically and emotionally, and connecting others with others, and letting them really embrace each other, and starting to see there is nothing different from you and I and them, and to truly be able to see the common grounds that we all have. We all should be able to love our families, and we should be able to love ourselves and each other. And this is, was truly the common theme. So I was able to connect into the higher energies for healing, what you may sort of consider as kind of like a I did not know of, in quotation marks, Reiki back then, but it is still energy. I was still using like an energy force to be able to help attune people and able to be able to release the things that they were holding on to and holding back, because a lot of people were really still in fear and still controlled with a lot of their own systems. And it was so helpful to be able to have people that had knew my teachings and knew my work, and when I could visit and travel, they would come. And it is not just truly my own connection to bring down to help others, but it's truly, and this is the secret to my I don't want to say success, but it was the secret of or the key of really being profoundly respected with the people who could respect me at my heyday, shall I say, was being able to use the collective energy of the group to really make their vibrations and to really empower them together. Because what one man can do alone is quite vastly different from, say, a group of 20. When everyone has got the same focus and the same intent, then we all manifested great healing and great camaraderie and great support with each other, because we didn't realize that together, when we were a team, we were so much more stronger than apart. And so some people who were not aware of this would come in and feel the collective energy of the group, and they mistakenly thought that was my power. But while I was working more in that state of connecting and allowing guidance and higher vibrational energy to come through me, it wasn't always just my work alone that was being felt by the group, by the people that were coming to hear me speak and see me help others. So it was always teamwork.
Yes. Okay. Beautiful. Thank you. Did you and Mary Magdalene cross paths at any of these schools? And if not, how did y'all actually meet?
Yes. Well, we were in the same circles, and we did see each other in social events, and we were aware of each other. But it wasn't until we actually got to see each other working, and since our when we met, there was intrigue and interest, but we were still very focused on the event at hand. And so eventually, when we did get to run and bump into each other and communicate, it was very fast and very quick how much we could profoundly get each other and understand our concerns for humanity, and also how we were going about things where we had different perspectives and approaches, but together they were a beautiful balance and harmony. I profoundly respected her because she was so empowered with her own self and could connect in, that she had a radiance of all her own. And I could sense that immediately when we could connect, because it's just undeniable.
That's beautiful. So can you tell us about your children with Mary Magdalene? I know some material says y'all had 2 children together and others deny this information.
Mm.
Can you bring any information here for us today?
I'm telling you now, we did not have children. That was not our purpose. We were not focused on those pleasures. It was more purposeful to be able to be focused to the cause and not to be able to get into distractions. While I did profoundly love Mary, I was not in love with her. And if we were going to have a settled life, that could have been a possibility. But we were so focused on our mission to help many people. The thought of raising children and having to be settled in, because remember, it was quite violent times, quite unsettled times. We did not want to bring children into the world. It was not our purpose. It was not what we needed to do to help humanity when we must stay on purpose and task. And so while we understand that there needs to be the statements that we have, that we were lovers and we had children, this is not correct. This is not correct at all. But does it take away from the myth of who we are? No. But the truth is, we needed to respect our jobs more than our own personal lives.
Yes. Okay. So why is it then that people have said or elaborated on saying that y'all had children together? Do you know that perspective?
Well, wouldn't it be the sweetest Romeo and Juliet story?
Ah,
Kind of, but it's not Romeo and Juliet as such. When I did die, but I died exactly how I needed to, so people could remember. It needed to be that way, and nothing in my life was a mistake or an accident, or it all unfolded as it should. And so, stories and legends of myself. I was a human, I was a man, I was a child. I had to learn how to be able to be the man I was. I was not perfect. I had many teachers helping me and assist me, and I was so lucky to have so much support. The myth about me being one man who was just an island of information, just walking the roads and just doing all of this on myself, that's not possible. I needed support. I needed friends. I needed finances to travel to where I could go to. I had great experiences traveling around. And it was the story that needed to be told, just like how Mary was considered to be a lady of undesirable. I don't want to even say what she had been for many of your Bibles referred to. She was incredible. She was intelligent and caring and gifted, and she was such a beautiful grace on this planet. And for the stories of our Bibles to say that she was not that is disrespectful. And so you turn into your modern time where New Age has come in and wants to put things in a beautiful bow and to retell our story with some romance in there. And we are not upset. But the purpose of making humanity feel like we are still amongst you is very important, because you still don't believe, majority, of reincarnation. So the fact that there is lineage there, blood lineage of us, does lift humanity.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I understand that. Yes, I understand that perspective. So thank you for that.
I would like to say to the people that are disappointed, I want to say that my mother, had more children. My father had more children, and so technically my bloodline still exists because my brothers and my cousins are still there, and it was still, their bloodline's still gone through. So for the people that still need to feel like you're walking amongst descendants from Jesus, well, yes, you still are. If you must have to have that to keep you high vibing, I will say anything to support you to be high vibing right now, because humanity does need to keep their vibrations as high as possible constantly, the best you can, remembering you're not one person, you are many collectives going through big experiences right now. And so together, using your energies for good, to be able to be aware of what you should be using your intentions for, will always be the best for all.
Yes, yes, beautiful. Thank you. In Dolores Cannon's book, Hidden Sacred Knowledge, a lady had a session and regressed back to a time where she was part of a small group of women whom you taught before the crucifixion. These teachings were considered very sacred, of course, and were said to be the way to God. These women had to protect, hide, and bury this information for fear of it being stolen. Were these teachings ever all found? And can you tell us a little bit about the teachings and why this particular chosen group of women?
Well, women have got great intuition. Women, I am searching and I'm connecting.
Mm-hmm.
The information that was given to the woman was more an account of my true life. And this is partly hidden still because it was never supposed to be brought out, what my true life really did look like, because people wanted to use my story for their own agenda and purpose. And so my real diary, shall we say, but I did not keep a personal diary. It was taken of me by one of my fellow friends, who took accounts of our experiences and our own teachings of together as a collective is more powerful than one, to go within first, to then be able to connect to higher beings, higher dimensions and higher perspectives, is the other one. And as I've already said, and that the universal unconditional loving beings and supporting each other through love, and always having the focus of being a responsible, higher perspective person who is not doing things for other agendas. It is all information that seems so basic to hear now, but it was really the key to all of what I had considered as around the world consistent information, and to be able to hear about the myths from their own gods and their own perception of what's up there. And the more older I got and the more I could sense other cultures and other religions that had passed, I knew that there was more than just one lifetime. I knew that there was reincarnation. I knew that there were other beings at that point. I knew that, but by the time just prior to my death, I knew that there was, not just one God or one man or one father, one creator. I knew so much about the realities of what the purpose on life on earth was, and I did know a lot more. I did know about advanced civilizations. I did know because I had traveled and heard so much about advancements in technology, and it was I learned so much. I was aware of Atlantis. I was aware of so much. And so all of that information and the truth was all combined in, and that was what they were burying. And so it was, of course, not what got translated through. Um, Men were being killed for information, and men were being hunted. And so giving them to women who would not be suspectful, because back in my day, women were not respected as much, and they were not considered to be aware of much advancements in anything, and they were second-class citizens, shall I say. And so when people were trying to seek my information, they assumed incorrectly that I had given it to other men. And I saw everyone, every gender, as equal. And so I played the people who were very stuck and rigid with their belief systems back then. There was more information, but you understand. I was so connected before my passing that I was able to profoundly connect in to my higher self, to my subconscious. And I was very, very aware of many things because I was so pure. I didn't have the toxic foods that you have in your day. There was more fresh water. There was a much more cleaner way to live, even though we were quite primitive and barbaric with the way that we treated people, and we still had big, strong control systems. The egos of our kings did not help humanity. And so this is the reason why I needed to come in, and many other supportive, influential people needed to come in to be able to help. We tried to use moral wisdom and set examples for the rulers of the day to have compassion and to be able to see things beyond themselves, and then need an ego to control and manipulate and to rule through fear. It was always about fear that was controlling humanity back then. And I say, unfortunately, not much has changed. Fear is still part of the big challenge that humans still have to let go of, and be able to trust that they are protected, and that focusing on fear will produce lots more fear. And so you need to be able to have faith that you have more support than you are aware of, not just physically, but metaphysically.
Yes, 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 yes. So that brings me to, because I was going to ask, how do you feel about the current world affairs and what is your role at this time?
Yes, well, uh, I feel positive. I feel that humanity's cycle is doing exactly what it needs to do. We still want, this is the collective now, we still want humanity to be able to release collectively their fear and finally and once and for all, view each other as equals. Not just Americans and New Zealanders. We want you to be able to see each other as one big family, but a healthy family, not one of those toxic families. We want
Mhm.
you to feel so supported with each other, so loved and nurtured, and not only for that for yourself, but we want you all to feel a part of something really special and be really proud of your own actions and others' actions, and everyone having true compassion for others, and really wanting to do great teamwork and to empower yourselves together collectively. You don't have to be cookie cutters of each other. You could have passions that are quite different from each other and still nurture each other. Or if you still had the same passion for each other, the same interests, you're not competitive. You're supporting each other with growth, not feeling like you're in a direct competition with each other, because that's then starting to get into negative emotions and then adding in not such nice feelings. So remembering you have been controlled to think that there is lack. And so when you live in that mentality of lack, you're wanting desperately to provide for yourself and not have any lack. And it feels like your neighbor could be your competitor. And there is nothing of true lack in the universe for the stuff that really matters. And I want to say that again. There is nothing of true lack in this universe for the things that truly matter. And so unconditional love is abundant when you want it and when you feel that you deserve it. And compassion is just so beautiful to have because that helps you with your moral compass. There is the saying that the best things in life are free. And I want to impress on everyone listening to understand that more profoundly than ever before.
That's beautiful and such a great reminder for all of us. Thank you. So I have a question I'm really curious about. I had a QHHT session months ago with a lady who said she saw Donald Trump, an Israeli looking man, and you, Jesus, standing on some stairs outside of a building, which felt like somewhere in the Middle East as she was describing her surroundings. There was a crowd of people there. A day or two after her session, it was announced that Donald Trump signed a peace treaty with Israel. And so, just with the timing and what she saw in her session, I'm curious to know if that was really you that was there and helping with that transaction.
Mhm. I do
Mhm.
like to have, for people who need to see who I am, I do come to people in visions as the man with the beard and the robe. And that is to help people see that I am there supporting. But it is not physical. I can manifest myself to be looking like that in the metaphysical, but I am not physically that being anymore. And so, if it needs to be for humanity to see that I have returned physically, that would happen, but it doesn't actually need to happen because there's more religions and there's more, shall I say, every culture has a different perspective and a different spiritual leader. And so while it may seem great for, say, America to see me on the steps with Donald Trump, it may not do the best for the Indian culture, shall we say, where they are needing to see a lot more different deities and religious leaders. So it was figurative. I, of course, embody the consciousness of man. So the Jesus Christ consciousness is the consciousness of man. And so I am the representation of man, even though I am not followed by all of man. A lot of people, a lot of religions, for example, Judaism is not necessarily a fan, and that is not a problem for me. Everyone needs to have a great I don't want to say influencer, because that word has been completely taken and turned into something that's not fantastic. Right now, instead of having spiritual influencers and leaders, it would be really great if everyone could be their own. And if everyone could go within and empower themselves within, because everyone has the same capabilities that I did. And for every other religious icon that has walked this earth. And so if you're still feeling like you're wanting to live the way that I did from a book, regardless of whether it's a Bible or a channeled message, use your discretion and your intuition, and do not put myself above you. I am amongst you and I'm within you. And so, unfortunately, the truth of my life has been greatly and under emphasized in many ways. And so, I understand people want to find out the truth of who I really was and actually what happened. But as history has a funny way of doing this, the truth gets hidden from propaganda and control and novelty factor and then entertainment.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you. I understand. There are many different interpretations about what happened after the crucifixion. Can you elaborate on that? Did
Mm-hmm.
you come in physical body to those who believed in you, or was that your contract? Is that it on the cross?
I departed my body on the cross.
Hmm.
I did come to visions to people that needed to see me, because they were so advanced with their spirituality, they could connect in with me. So it wasn't a huge thing. It was special one time to be able to keep giving them guidance and giving them personal faith. And so there was lots of visions of me for purpose to give people to carry on my mission. And if they could see that I had walked again there, even just for once, that would give them their whole lifetime of dedication to the information and my belief that I was sharing with the world at that time. And so it was very purposeful for them to see the illusion of my body walking, even though it was their consciousnesses, their subconscious, and their higher selves giving them that illusion. Um, I understand that people need to believe and have hope that I continue to live on. And just like with everyone who departs, we do continue to live on. And so this was important for people to have belief, more so than what you were being told, that there is reincarnation, that you do resurrect. And even that has turned into something quite confusing for many, even though um, it would have been great for me to have continued on. And I could have continued on doing what I was doing. It needed to be impactful, it needed to be controversial, and pull on people's heartstrings, because needed to make them stand up and be accountable for the lessons that they knew, knowing that I wasn't there. A lot of people, when you have a leader who's doing spiritual work, a lot of people feel like, well, that leader is doing great work. What can I do? I can do nothing. I am just, a smaller person, and I have confidence issues or something or whatever. So when I left, then it made and encouraged many others to stand and to be able to share their wisdom and their information from what I had taught them. And so it made everyone accountable for what they heard and believed, rather than just knowing every time I came to see them, I would remind them of this. They had to take responsibility to apply the information, because they knew I was no longer there to help them. So then they had to stand and apply and recall. And when humanity has to recall on things, when suddenly something's been taken away from them, it is more impactful. If I had lived until a very old man, the novelty of me, almost, well, I'm not going to continue that. It's, I think I've made my point.
Yes, thank you. So as a guide, and from your perspective now, what advice can you give us here on the earth as it is now? Can you give us on prepping our bodies, minds, and spirits for the shift and into new earth?
Absolutely. Well, the idyllic feelings for humanity will naturally be on the fifth dimension on New Earth, when humanity is shifted to it. And so we really would love as many people as possible to get to that perspective and that high vibration sooner rather than later. We would have loved it a lot earlier. I'm saying now I would have loved it in my time. That would have been fantastic. But it didn't quite get there, did it? And so it's still the same mission and purpose to raise humanity to be out of control systems that produce fear and lack and profoundly impact you dividual beings with other agendas to make money, to make you sick, to disempower you, to confuse you from the truth, to not allow you to feel connected to yourself. There are so many things that are going on for each individual person. So the only thing you can control is your mind and your heart, and be able to allow yourself to have unconditional love for all and yourself. Love your body. Love your body. Feel very blessed to have your body right now, and to feel very grateful for all that is available for you. Remembering everything that you have that is around you is a blessing and a joy. And if you are not able to see things in a positive, this is very challenging. So if you feel like you're lacking something, you need to change your perspective and be grateful for all the things you do have. And even if it is just that you have the choice to make your day good or bad, be grateful that you can. And we just can sense one very, very, very isolated individual who is feeling so depleted and so worthless and so vulnerable to their world right now. And so we're reaching right down into that being, that person, because there are so many people who feel so alone and so disconnected from everything, that they feel that their worth is worthless. It is so terrible. We see so many people in this predicament because they have just become so swamped and entrenched with everything being overwhelming for them. It's truly so sad. So We want to also say that we see some very higher beings that are listening to us and feeling our connection with you now. And so this is the challenge that we have when we are scanning who is listening and who will be listening to this message, because we want to individually support each individual being, because we can see you and we can see the level that you're at and the perspectives that you have and the things you're still holding on to that may not serve you. And we can see the people who are taking responsibility for their own inner work, and we're also seeing the people who still think it might be others that need to do their work for them. So we're seeing it all, and we're still loving you unconditionally, regardless of where you're at. And so we are wanting humanity to be at a more compassionate, considerate collective, and not have so many excuses why you haven't done your own inner work and why you haven't loved yourself profoundly and what you're still holding back for with that. The past is the past. You cannot fight back with that person, or you can't change that situation that you feel like you're a victim to, or that situation where you did lose your control and your anger and you're still wanting to beat yourself up about it. Let's start from now, and let's just accept that everything that has happened in the past is, and we cannot change it. And therefore, you cannot own and feel responsible in any emotional way about that, because it no longer serves you. You're needing to look forward, and you're wanting to start and act on everything without limitation, because your mind may try and trick you and say that you may not be fully worthy of self-love. So watch what your mind is telling you, because it's a little bit nonsense sometimes, and we want to say that with love. And so we're wanting to be able to give you maximum confidence that you are able to profoundly love yourself, and you are profoundly able to love each other and see the blessings and joy in everything. And if you're getting stuck on anything, see it from the bigger picture, which is, what is the purpose here? What are the lessons? What is the experience that those beings, or that I am, wanting from this? And just keep questioning that again and again and again, and keep with that emotional balance of harmony, where you're not triggered either way, and you're not going into drama, and you're not going into victim mode, you're not going into worry mode, and you're certainly not going to go into fear mode, because fear feeds nothing but fear. You may want to remember that little catchy statement that we've just said, because it is so true. And we want you to keep nurturing and loving yourself, because let's use peer pressure here and say all the cool kids are doing it. They're loving themselves, and so can you.
Mhm. That's a wonderful, wonderful advice. And yes, unconditional love for self and others. That's the way. Thank you.
We want everyone to
Before
be cool kids.
do you have any other words of wisdom for humanity before we go?
We've always supported you and will never leave you. And even when you feel in your darkest days that you're all alone, that has been an experience and a lesson you need to experience. You are all now massively taking bigger steps away from those dark days and from those dark times. And while we joke and we say silly things about being cool kids, we see you all as tremendous warriors and heroes. And when for those people who are wanting to help humanity profoundly and be able to drop their 3D illusions, to be able to be stepping into empowering higher dimensional vibrations, to be able to keep helping the collective and humanity shift into a positive, more enlightened consciousness and physical experience, we say thank you for doing your mission and helping humanity. Thank you for putting yourself and your personal needs over and not over others. You're not here to get rich. You're not here to get famous. You're not here to impress humanity with anything else apart from your unconditional love and your compassion, your deep, profound passion for each other. And so we want you to really look at the things you may be doing that are a little bit of a habit that is bringing down your vibration and not being so fantastic for humanity, because ultimately you're doing yourself a disservice first and then humanity second. So we want to be able to keep reminding you that there is no excuses for holding back yourself, apart from the illusion that you mustn't step forward, step forward, step forward, step up. And you have to go within to be able to expand and grow. And we want you to know we see the ones who are doing this, and we want you to know this. We see the ones who are still needing support. If you want us to help you and support you and guide you more, please ask, because we will not impress your free will if you don't ask. And tell us exactly what you're needing, and notice what comes up and shows up for you. We will not give you what you don't need. This is not a gimmick or a misuse of our powers. And we have said this before, you get what you need versus what you want.
Beautiful. Thank you. Thank you so much for coming in and joining us today. I really appreciate it.
We are always appreciative to be able to share our perspective things and to be able to demystify some of the belief systems. We're sorry for the people who are a little bit heartbroken, thinking that there weren't little baby Jesus and Marys around. But if you needed to believe that, then that is all fine. We're not trying to create more disharmony and more disconnect with humanity. So if you still need to believe that, then that is fine. You do not need to compete or challenge each other's belief systems. If you want to believe anything, you're allowed to, but you must respect what other people believe. And it is not about who is right and who is wrong. It is about respecting each other individually and loving and supporting each other.
Yes, yes, totally. Thank you for that.
We enjoyed this conversation, and we say this with love.